Okay, so continuing our video series on beginning knitting, I'm using a very big yarn. This is a super bulky and big needles. These are size 19. And I'm doing this because I want you to be able to easily see what it is I'm doing. So I've got my 15 stitches cast on. This was my previous working yarn. It is now my tail. My working yarn going to my skein is over here. So looking again at the stitches, this side has a lot of smooth stitches. There's no extra coming down, and this side kind of has a little bump at the bottom of each stitch, and this is the side we're going to knit into. There are two main stitches in knitting. One is called a knit and one is called a purl, and that's P-U-R-L for those who are wondering. So when we knit, we get a particular way that the stitching lands, and when we purl, we get a different look. The sweaters that you probably are wearing uses something called a stockingette stitch, which is knit on the front and purl on the back. The stitch we're going to focus on today is just knitting, and it's going to be called the garter stitch. So when you knit something in garter stitch, you just knit every row. All right, so start with putting my stitches down here at the end of my needle so I can access them. I'm holding back my tail there so it doesn't get in my way. Over in my other hand, there's lots of different ways people can loop the working yarn through their fingers. I tend to kind of do something like this where I'm using my index finger to guide, but I'm holding tension with my other fingers, and sometimes it looks like that and sometimes it looks like that. It all depends on the yarn, but somehow or other I loop it around one finger and then sort of weave it and use the tension. Pick up my needle with the same hands, keeping the knitting in my hand, and we're going to go in to that stitch. So we're going from the front to the back, poking all the way through. We use holding our yarn on the back of our work. We're going to loop it around and pull it through. Now we've taken one stitch off the left needle and there's one stitch on the right needle. We're going to do that again. Poke it through, loop it around, and come back through. We're going to do this all the way down. So through, around, out, through, around, out. You want to keep your work kind of at the end of your needle, but you want to make sure that when you're looping around, you're getting the size of the needle is back here. So again, I'm not pulling tremendously tight, but I am keeping a little bit of tension on there, trying to keep each of my stitches about the same size and about the same tension. So keep going through, around, pull it over, through, around. Whoops, I dropped that off the needle too early. That's okay. I can come right in here and pick it up again, pull it back through, around, pull it through, around, pull it through, around, pull it through, stab, tie it up, throw it off. Now we have our first row of stitching. This was our cast on row. This is our first row of knitting. Tightening up ever so slightly on my lead yarn so that there wasn't an awkward big my tail yarn, so there wasn't a big awkward stitch at the front there. So this was all on my right needle. Now, finished up, pulled my last stitch. Now I'm going to turn it around so that my right needle becomes my left needle. Again, we're seeing these bumps at the bottom of our stitch. That was our new stitches. Put the other needle in your hand, and we start in again. Pick up your yarn again with your fingers on your right hand. Ah! There we go. And we go in, around, and pull it up. In, around, and pull it up. Okay. When we get to the end of this row, we simply turn and go back the other way.